Okay, back with Zero Escape, Riches Last Reward. We are going down the Alice, or the path to the Alice ending. We're now in the AB room again, and it is time for us to select Betray. So let's see what the fallout of that is going to be. The vote has been recorded. Please wait. I still have it set to skip. Cool. Loon and I stepped out of the AB room.
Why? What happened to... It's not fair to betray someone who isn't voting. I thought...
There was nothing I could think to say. Even I didn't really understand why I picked Betray instead. It had almost felt unconscious, like some other part of my mind was making the decision. Perhaps I'd been possessed by some sort of evil spirit that had moved my finger to the Betray button against my will. Well, Right, well, we should go see the results.
Really? We already know what they are. It's just simple math.
The look in her eyes was more painful than any punch I'd ever taken. Hold on, I gotta take care of Buster, or my dog downstairs. He's barking.
Results from round 2 of the Ambidex game will now be displayed.
Okay, he appears to no longer be barking. Maybe he's just barking because I was talking for to him no apparent reason. Alright. Alright, well, let's see what happens.
Please direct your attention to the results screen.
Betray, 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 betray. No change.
Points have been assigned or subtracted accordingly. Please check your bracelet to see your updated bracelet points.
It wasn't possible. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and looked again. How could Alice choose to vote Betray? She was standing inside the second room from the left. The room that should have been empty. Momo was still reading. Where'd she come from? As I was trying to form a sentence, she began to move toward us. Alice drew to a stop in front of me and glanced up at the display.
Thought you'd get an easy couple points, huh? Not so easy when you have to look your victim in the eye, is it, coward?
Me, a coward? You've got some balls saying that to me after you picked Betray. Why are you even here?
You gave me the antivirus, didn't you? Tenmyoji told me. Thank you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, honestly.
But you should still be under the effects of the anesthetic.
Yes, well, I still am. A bit. I have a throbbing headache, and I can barely stand. It's horrible. I'm more resistant to anesthetics than most people. A result of my training. I have a feeling Zero Senior knew that. They gave me way more than the standard dose of that gas when they kidnapped me. In any event, a few minutes ago I woke up in the infirmary. Tenmyoji explained what was going on, and I got here as fast as I could.
You showed up right after we'd gone into the AB room?
Yes. Right in the nick of time, too. About 10 seconds before the deadline, as I recall.
You did that just so you could betray us?
Right. What? Don't I get to do that? I mean, it turned out to be the right thing to do, didn't it? You two chose betray. If I'd stayed back there, I'd have lost 2 points.
So you're saying it was self-defense?
Yes.
You're full of shit. Self-defense, my ass. You chose betray because you wanted out. You had 6 BP. If I'd picked ally, you would have had 9. That's what you were trying to do, right?
So what if I was?
Are you serious? Just admit it, you were planning to kill me so you could escape.
Don't be stupid. I knew you'd choose betray. There was... That is the truth. Why am I the only one getting the 3rd degree here? Look at those results. 2 other people just tried to kill someone. Yes. If Dio had chosen ally, Phi would have killed Tenmyoji. And if she'd chosen ally, Dio would have killed her.
I don't want to be rude, but it looks like Clover and Kay tried to trick one another. Not that it seems to have worked. If either one had chosen ally, the other one would have 9 BP right now.
I turned to look at the results again. Before I'd only been looking at my own. I hadn't realized that there was only one word across the roster, betray. Whatever trust we managed to build had fallen apart. Everyone was suspicious of everyone else. Had it been the bombs? Or had it been something else? We'd be trapped in a cycle of 0-point rounds for the rest of our lives. Something had to be done. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Alright guys, pay attention. You probably all figured this out, but we can't keep going like this. If we don't start being a little more trusting, we're never going to get out of here. We need to work together. I might as well have been talking to a wall.
My apologies, Sigma, but I need to think on something for a bit. I would appreciate being left alone.
I'll be leaving too.
Hold on, Buster
We're getting a little
is
too
working.
intense here for my delicate constitution.
Okay. Hopefully he'll remain a little quieter now.
Sorry.
Well, in that case.
It too, Fi.
Sorry.
She turned and left the warehouse without another word. Dio and Kay quickly followed suit.
See? There's your answer. In the end, everyone's just thinking about themselves. So I would appreciate it if you could not treat me like I'm the only villain here. Come on, Clover. Let's go.
Hold on! I'm coming! Are you feeling okay? I was really worried, you know?
Watch them walk away, Clover practically jumping with delight to have Alice back.
Everyone's gone.
Everyone's gone. You're not going to leave too?
No.
Are you sure? I chose betray. Alright.
I know, but I still believe in you, Sigma. I think your hand must have just slipped or something. Right?
My chest hurt, and when I blinked I felt something hot and wet prick the corners of my eyes. I bit my lip. Before I could think of anything to say, the metallic rumble of the doors closing echoed throughout the warehouse.
The Ambidex gates have closed. Round 3 of the Ambidex game will be the Star Round. Star keys are required to open the gates. There is no set limit on usage of the star keys. The Ambidex gates can be opened as many times as the players wish to open them.
Yep. As many times as we want, huh?
Yes, as long as we have the star keys. That means we can keep playing the AB game over and over, too. Sigma? Could you show me your bracelet? Do you remember what Zero Jr. said?
As soon as the gates close, your colors get all shuffled up automatically. The pair and solo assignments hop around a bit too.
Yeah, I remember. What about you?
I'm a magenta pair. They could be anything, I suppose. We won't know until we have a look.
"81 minutes until the next set of chromatic doors open." I really don't like how this is going. It won't matter how many times we repeat the AB game if nobody trusts anybody else. We'll never be able to get out of here.
Maybe it would help if we all had a common goal. Something to unite our hearts and minds.
Yeah, but we already got something like that. The bombs. We all want to get out of here. Oh no, and the bombs.
Well, what if we have an enemy? Yes, a common foe. Like the person who set the bombs, for instance.
After coming back from the lab, I told her about the bomb while she gave Alice and Quark the Accelavir. And everyone else would work together against them.
Right.
How do we figure out who it is?
Well, do you have any clues?
That's right. The memory card. I pulled it out of my pocket and held it out toward her.
What's this?
I told you, a memory card. It was under the bomb we found in the lab. I think whoever set the bomb dropped it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what's on it, though.
Oh,
Okay, memory card reader.
I guess we can't really use it then. Oh, wait a second. You know what? I think I might have seen something.
Huh?
Yes, I remember.
In the
The
infirmary.
infirmary. I saw it when I was searching the infirmary with Theo and Quark. There was a memory card just like that one. Yes, I think we can see what's on it. The computer there should be able to read it.
Moon and I exploded into the infirmary, nearly running into Alice, Clover, and Tenmyoji. Quark was there as well, of course, but he was just as we had left him asleep on the bed.
What are you doing here?
I opened my mouth to retort, then thought better of it. I really wanted people to start trusting each other while real change starts at home. Quickly, could I explain the second bomb, the memory card, and how we came to the infirmary in hopes that we could discover the contents of the latter.
Okay.
Then stick it in already!
Go ahead.
Right. Just as soon as it said, there was a small slot under the screen exactly the right size to fit a memory card. Within moments, the screen was filled with what appeared to be random letters.
Six rows, 22 letters each.
It looks like the odd rows use one set of letters, and the even rows use another set. In other words, the first two rows just repeat. Yeah.
This some kind of code or something?
It doesn't look random to me.
Okay.
I think there might be a pattern. I just don't know what it is.
Was there anything else on there? No, it doesn't look like it.
So all we get is this gibberish. Hey Alice, you haven't said anything for a while. What's up?
Does any of this look familiar to you, Clover?
What do you mean?
Have you seen something like this before? Maybe during your training?
This is...
So you do recognize it.
All right, knock it off, you two. How about you share it with the rest of the class?
Alice sighed and stretched her neck from side to side.
I believe this is an encoded message from a terrorist organization.
What?
They call themselves the Myrmidons.
Myrmidons, for some reason I felt like I'd heard that name before.
What are the Myrmidons?
Put simply, they're a bunch of thugs who are trying to destroy or dismantle most of human civilization.
So this thing we're looking at, you think it's theirs?
Well, they have a number of different codes, but I do think this is one of them.
Then the bomb? It was said by one of the Myrmidons, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, I can't say for sure, of course, but it seems likely.
Damn, I've got a ton of questions for you. But let me start with this one. What the heck does that thing say?
I don't know. How am I supposed to decode it? I don't have the key. Without a key, it would take literally hundreds of years to decode.
What about you, Clover?
Well, if Alice doesn't know how, I sure don't.
See,
Not much we can do then. We can come back to that code stuff later. I've got another question. Alice, Clover, who the hell are you? What do you know about this code?
That's...
Just what the hell kind of job is that? I think it's time you told us what you do.
Sorry, but I can't. Because you might be one of them. You might be the person who set the bomb.
That's idiotic. Of course I'm not.
Really? And where's your proof? For all I know, you're my enemy. I can't tell you anything.
I'm not your enemy. I'm your ally. I'm your friend. I just want all of us to get out of here. Just please tell us. Please. We need to find out who did this so we can all escape. But we have too little information. We need your help. Fine. If you won't tell us about yourself, then just tell us about the Myrmidons. What else do you know about them?
I'm sorry.
Before I could blink, she'd leapt up and run out of the room. Hey, wait, Alice.
How long are you going to keep following me?
Till you tell me what you know.
Why don't you just ask me over?
Alright, where are we at in the flowchart? Alright, we're down that path. The Alice ending. Alright.
You
Clover?
already know she works with me.
Well, yeah.
Then why don't you...
I want to hear it
Why?
from you. That's a good question. Remember the crew quarters or this garden? We got paired up for 2 separate rounds. That means I've spent more time with you than anybody else here. Maybe that's it. I guess I'm just curious about you.
What are you talking about?
Spun around to hide it, but I caught a blush of red on her cheeks. We walked down the path to where it ended next to the pond. I stayed silent. Alice sat down on the bench. We gazed at the smooth surface of the pond for several long minutes before she began to speak.
You don't hate me?
What? Why?
I tried to kill you.
You mean in the AB game?
Yes. I was so scared. Who wouldn't be? Kidnapped and locked up, forced to play some sort of bizarre game. And then we found that bomb. I know I probably sounded calm, but as soon as we found that thing, all I wanted to do was run away from it as fast as I could. Things just went downhill from there.
What do you mean?
I remember hearing that Quark had collapsed and running to the infirmary with everyone else. When I got there, I realized I couldn't understand what anyone was saying. And everything looked... I don't know how to describe it. It was like watching a video on fast forward, only it was real. Then I started to feel like... It's hard to explain. I guess you could say I didn't feel like I was myself, and it only got worse.
That was probably Radical 6.
I don't remember much after that. But when I woke up in the infirmary, suddenly all that fear was back. So all I could think about was getting out of this place as fast as I could. It never even crossed my mind that it could kill you. God help me, even if it had, I don't think I would have cared. See? I'm horrible. You hate me, don't you? Just do it!
What? Do what?
Kill me! Get it over with!
What the hell, Alice? I'm not gonna kill you. I don't even hate you.
You're lying! I could kill you! I would have killed you!
Come on. Calm down. No one's killing anyone. A single tear rolled down Alice's cheek. Here comes the melodrama. Leaving shining lines across her face. When I reached out, I saw her tense just slightly. Slowly, I brushed my thumb across her cheek and off, taking her tear with it. That's a bit of a familial action.
Why are you doing this? You know, you kind of remind me of my father.
Oh boy. That's who you're after, right? People who killed your dad.
Yes.
Did they have anything to do with the Myrmidons?
Will you promise not to tell Clover that I cried?
Ah, come on.
Keep your mouth shut. I'll tell you what you want to know. About myself. And about the Myrmidons. Deal?
Okay. Sure, my lips are sealed.
Really?
What, crying? I don't remember any crying.
Good. Alright then.
Alice took a deep breath and began. My father is Egyptian, but my mother is French. They met while my mother was in Egypt on vacation and married shortly thereafter. When I was 3, we all moved to the US. My father was a scientist and his field was cloning. He was recruited by an American lab, which is why we were moved. Both of my parents had used English around me from the time I was born, so I didn't have any problems adapting to life in the United States. By my 9th birthday, we'd been there for 6 years. That was when it happened. In the middle of the day, my mother showed up at school. Her eyes were red and puffy, but she didn't say anything to me on the drive home. When we arrived, there were several policemen there to meet us. My father had always been a very punctual man, and when dinner time came and went with no sign of him, even I began to realize something terrible had happened. It wasn't until several years later that I finally learned of the truth. My father's lab had been attacked by terrorists, and he had been kidnapped. For the rest of my childhood, my mother raised me by herself. I didn't realize it then, but it must have been incredibly difficult for her as a single mother alone in a country where any relatives were a transatlantic flight away. She did her best not to let me see it, but every so often, when she thought she was alone, the mask would fall away, and in every line of her face, I could see exhaustion and loneliness. As much as I missed my father, it was those moments that made me wish more than anything that he'd never been taken. Fortunately, I was an excellent student and did especially well in math. I earned a full-ride scholarship straight out of high school and spent the next several years studying. After graduation, I took a job with the Department of Defense, hoping that they might have the resources to help me look for my father. I was immediately assigned to the Special Office of Internal Security. Their purpose is to investigate and sometimes deal with terrorist organizations and other serious threats to the state. I could tell my mother wasn't happy about my decision, but she chose to remain silent about it. Eventually I learned that the terrorist organization that had taken my father was none other than the Myrmidons, although at the time that name didn't mean anything to me. They were suspected of human cloning. Specifically, it was thought that they had been using cloning techniques to copy their most useful members and expand their ranks. The Myrmidons apparently believed that they could use cloning to create a new race of humans. Now at last, I knew the reason for my father's abduction. The commander of the Myrmidons is a man named Left. We know his name and his gender, but not his appearance or his age. The Myrmidons are closely associated with a cult known as Free the Soul. We believe that Free the Soul provides their funding. But trying to pin any kind of misdeeds on their cult leader, a man named Brother, is like trying to nail Jello to a wall. Rumors say he's so old he can't even get out of bed. Unfortunately, his mind seems to be as sharp as ever. At that point, I hit a wall. I knew the Myrmidons had been behind my father's kidnapping, but that was all I could learn about them. Then one day, I got a tip that some of them were in hiding in a building in the Nevada desert. I headed out immediately. On the way there, my car had some engine trouble and stalled out. I was trying to decide what to do when an SUV appeared out of nowhere. I'll give you one guess who was behind the steering wheel. Clover. That was the first time we met. There were 4 other people in the car with her, and when I asked them what they were doing, I got what was just about the last answer I'd expected. They told me they'd been locked up inside of the very building I'd been on my way to investigate, and that they were currently in pursuit of the people who had kidnapped them in the first place. My priorities shifted very quickly. After a short discussion, I convinced them to allow me to come along. My hope was to find the people they were chasing, who I was certain were Myrmidons. In the end, however, we were unable to track them down. In fact, I still don't know where they might have gone. Eventually, I took Clover and her companions to Soy's headquarters. We decided that involving the police would only complicate things. After some questioning, it was determined that the people who had instigated this particular event were not connected to the Myrmidons. We did, however, discover that the mysterious disappearance and subsequent reappearance of several children 9 years prior was connected to Free the Soul. There was also a 6th person in the SUV, though they weren't riding in it per se. A middle-aged man, who I'll just call H for now, had been bound and placed in the trunk. According to the other 4, he had been behind the disappearance of the children 9 years earlier. We also learned that his pharmaceutical company, a major player on the world stage, was effectively controlled by Free the Soul. More specifically, I suppose, H was a member of Free the Soul and very committed to their cause. So why had he kidnapped all those children? Apparently had been part of an experiment designed to test the ability of certain people to access what's called the morphogenic field. I don't imagine you've ever heard of it before, so I'll try and give you a quick rundown. Simply put, these people can access a sort of field that allows their consciousness to resonate with the consciousnesses of certain other people. To be honest, it might be simpler to just call it telepathy. The Soys had heard of this particular ability before, and had actually used it in a number of investigations, so I wasn't surprised to learn of its existence. I was shocked, however, to learn that these experiments had been carried out by a member of Free the Soul. If that was the case, then Brother must have known about it. The thought of him discovering a way to control and harness that power was terrifying. It wasn't too long after the incident in Nevada that another tip about the Myrmidons crossed my desk. This time, it claimed that the Myrmidons intended to launch a large-scale biological terrorist attack. My bosses decided that we needed more agents to deal with a threat of that magnitude, and Clover was recruited. Because she'd been a test subject in H's experiment, we knew she had the ability to access the morphogenic field. We wanted to put that ability to use. After several months of training, she was sent on her first mission. She would be tasked with the infiltration and investigation of a Myrmidon cloning lab. I was assigned to be her commanding officer. I hoped that our investigation might also give me a lead on my father's whereabouts. At last, I had a chance to find out what had happened to him. I wouldn't let that chance pass me by. Perhaps that was what kept me from noticing the truth. The whole operation was a trap. The lab was fake and Clover was captured almost immediately. I got there as fast as I could, but when I arrived, the building was only an empty shell. All of the conspirators who had pretended to be the researchers and the like had already fled. I searched frantically for Clover until at last, in a basement room, I found her. She had been tied to a chair, but on the floor next to her was another body. It was my father. He looked as if he had just been dumped there, and when I got to him, his body was already cold. He was covered in dark, ugly bruises. It wasn't until later that I learned he had died from ruptured organs and internal bleeding. They had beaten him to death. As soon as Clover had been captured, a Myrmidon in a mask had come to visit her. He said that unless she wanted to end up like my father, she would leave them alone and tell her masters at the Sois to do likewise. In retrospect, they must have known who I was and who my father was. That was why they'd killed him. Perhaps they'd thought they were sending a message to me. Or that once he was gone, I'd lose my reason for chasing them. They were very, very wrong. I took Clover with me and left. I tried to console myself with the fact that I had, at least, been able to save her. Sometime later, I received a call from the coroner. He told me there was something I needed to see. There, in the morgue, was my father, cold and pale on a steel table. I could barely stand to look at him, but the coroner insisted. On his arm were 2 rows of numbers comprised of 8s and 9s. It took me a moment to recognize my father's handwriting. He had carved them into his own skin. On his chest was another message, but they were letters this time, not numbers. Not many, just enough to make a short sentence. I love you, Alice. I broke down crying, right there in the morgue. They were the first tears I'd shed since the operation had started, and there was no stopping them. There would be no forgiveness, not for the monsters who'd put my father through this. They destroyed my family. I would make them pay, even if I had to die to do it. That night, I made a promise to myself. I would avenge my father. It didn't take long to figure out that the numbers he'd written there were latitude and longitude. They pointed to a chemical factory that had been disguised as an abandoned building. Further investigation revealed that it was the mother lode we'd been looking for, the headquarters of the Myrmidons. I think my father must have known how things would turn out. Knowing he was going to die, he'd written the directions to our enemy's fortress on his own body. He'd sacrificed too much for me to waste this opportunity with recklessness. This time, our operation would succeed. This time, I wouldn't let my excitement put Clover or any of my other agents in danger. So we took our time, we gathered information, we did our research, and we planned. Finally, we were ready. December 25th, 2028 was going to be the day we finally set foot inside the Myrmidon stronghold. But then, on the 22nd, only 3 days before the operation was scheduled to begin, a man in a gas mask appeared. So you inhaled that gas, passed out, and woke up here in the AB room?
Yes. Well, there it is. Everything that's happened with the Myrmidons and me. I left a few of the details out, of course, but you get the idea.
No, I get it. Thank you. She gave me a sad sort of smile and stood up.
We should go back.
Not yet. Your story explained a lot, but there's still one big question.
Which is?
Who here is a Myrmidon? One of us planted the bombs, and based off the code we found, it's pretty clear that person is a Myrmidon,
Yes.
right? And I agree that we need to figure out who they
What
are.
do you propose we do?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Do you have any clues?
Well, if I could decrypt that code, it might tell us something, but
How can we do that?
I told you. We need a key. Without that, it's pointless.
What's a
A
key?
key is a key. It allows you to sort of unlock a code. Myrmidons usually use this huge string of numbers as a key.
Wait. A long string of numbers? Could that be? Seven 81536109838094241990551.
What the hell?
He was convicted of a string of numbers. Wow. I also love the fact that the programming term "a string of numbers" is great. I was almost as surprised as she was. The numbers had just kind of appeared in my mind, and I was saying them before I knew what I was doing. Alice looked at me incredulously, and I stared back.
Where did... Wait. Can you say that again? 7815361098838094241990551. Gonna go ahead and screen cap that. Just in case I need it. Don't know if I will. Because Sigma seems to be keeping that in his memory. That's 198,449,351 to the third power.
What the? What? What? What?
That number you just told me, prime factor decomposition on that number gets you 198,449,351 to the third power.
Are you some kind of savant? You're talking about reducing an integer to a series of prime numbers that you multiply together to get it, right? Like if you have 30, then you'd get 2 plus 3 plus 5, right?
Exactly. You probably learned that in junior high, right?
Maybe. So you're saying that 1984, 49, 351 is a prime, and if you multiply it by itself, you'd get... Oh, man. That is hard to read without commas in there.
Yes.
Don't tell me you just did all of that in your head.
Did do all of that in my head.
You are a savant.
Simple mental arithmetic.
Humble much? Hold on. Gotta turn on the light. It's getting dark in here. Okay. What? No, no way. That's impossible.
I told you. I'm better at math than most people.
That's not better at math.
Look at you. You just recited a huge string of numbers. That seems pretty astounding, too.
That is memory.
Where did you find that number anyway?
I don't know what to say. What would I tell her? That it just came to me?
Can't tell me, huh? Fine. I'm pretty sure that's the key to the code, though. I know the Myrmidons use prime factors for their keys. And there aren't a lot of 25-digit numbers that turn out to be the third power of a prime number. I think there's a very good chance that number you memorized was specifically created by someone.
Well, excellent. Could you explain that with small words?
Look at the prime factors of your number. 198,449,351 to the third power. I think that's our hint for cracking the code.
Cubed.
You still don't get it? Try to remember the code we saw in the infirmary. What did it say on the monitor?
I think the first row was... Alright, all of these people have something superhuman about them. Sigma's apparently his eidetic memory.
And the second row?
BYOLW XYPXSVZEQ GTKRTLED. I think. Then they just repeat.
Wow, you've got a pretty impressive memory.
Eidetic memory for the win. Pro tip, in any RPG you play, if you can pick perks, talents, abilities for your character, always get eidetic memory. It is never a bad investment.
We could really use someone like you back at the...
Sois. How do we decode that?
198,449,351 to point you to the right letters.
Once again, that would be a whole lot easier to read if you put the commas in it. How do we do that?
Well, the first number is 1, the next number is 9, so go 9 letters over from the first one. Then 8 from that one. Just keep going until you get something. Make sense?
I ran over what she'd said in my head. I don't want to do this on paper. The prime number Alice had given me was 19844. Yeah. So what we get if we picked out letters like she'd explained. First letter would be C from the top left, and you'd move over 9 to the right, which would give you O. Then 8 more to the right, and eventually we'd get a word. And that word was... Oh, you have 6 chances to fail and the game is over? Oh, I hate you. Hold on. You're making me do this. I forgot about this. This is in the original. I really did forget about this. Okay. Alright. CO and then 8. Two, 3, 4, 5. Complete. D. All right. The code sheet won't be displayed when you input your answer, so it'd be wise to solve it now. The key is... Wow, okay. Completed. Alright, it's completed. Clear. I did it. I like how there's this like UI for this abstract mental exercise that Sigma is doing when he is just talking him and Alice in a lush, verdant botanical garden situation and not actually at a terminal or any kind of input device, that would restrict him to 6 choices. So weird. Oh, I'm sorry. That is apparently a game. So we have escape the room sequences, and we have these other puzzles, which means I can probably jump back over here at some point and then jump down that path. Okay, let's do this. We're back. Completed. That's it. That's the answer.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Did exactly what you told me to, and the word I got is completed. Actually, it's completed, completed, completed. The code word and the letters repeat every 2 lines. It just repeats.
Well, I can't remember the code like you can, but if you're certain, I believe you.
So she's totally good with 25-digit math, and I've got an eidetic memory.
All right then.
We're quite the pair.
I wonder what completed is supposed to mean, though.
Aside from the obvious, you mean? I'm guessing here it means mission completed, or mission complete. So that's what the transmitter was for.
Huh? What are you talking about? What transmitter?
I barely even heard her. Suddenly my mind was full of memories that hadn't been there a moment before. It was like a wave had washed away the sand, revealing a bed of precious gems underneath. Oh boy, Sigma, you got it.
Holy Father, Holy Brother, Holy Master. My sacred mission is at last complete. These 2 hands, mankind is saved. I am your will made flesh. In your name, I give thanks.
Really? Oops, wrong button. Damn it, why hadn't I realized it before? I could remember a series of numbers, but not this? At least I remembered it now. Dio was a member of the Myrmidons. Not just any member, he was their leader. That meant he had to be the one who planted the bombs.
Hey, are you listening to me?
Dio. It's Dio. Yeah.
Then answer my question. What the hell was that? What's this about a transmitter?
I didn't trust myself to try and explain it to her. More than likely she'd just think I was insane. Even I couldn't barely make sense of the sudden influx of new information.
Wait. Don't tell me you're one of the Myrmidons.
If I was, do you really think I'd reveal myself like this? Out of nowhere, Clover appeared.
Oh, there you are. I've been looking all over for you.
Really?
We're all down in the Floor B warehouse. Well, all of us but Luna and Quark.
Why?
We've still got 45 minutes until the white doors
I know
open.
that.
Okay. Hey, wait a minute. Thought you, Kay, and Quark didn't know about the white doors.
Yoji told us about them. He said he'd show us where they were, so we all followed him down to the Floor B warehouse.
I'm assuming you left Quark with Luna?
Yeah. Anyway, when we showed up, Vi and Kay were already there.
So,
All of a sudden, Vi, Tenmyoji, and Dio all started yelling at each other.
What?
Why? Did something happen?
Fi, Tenmyoji, and Dio. Yeah. Even though Tenmyoji only had one B, Fi had chosen Betray. They started to fight, and since Dio had pressed Betray on behalf of his team, eventually he got dragged in too.
That seems odd. Fi only had one BP too. Her choice seems like a perfectly valid defensive move.
Ugh. Just come with me.
All these dramatic interruptions when we're about to make
He's
progress.
trying to calm them down, but there's only one of him.
Okay, okay, come on, Alice, let's go.
Coming.
I will say after the Alice ending, I get the Sigma ending, and the Quark ending, and then the K ending. It's either the Sigma ending or the Quark ending. I got second in the game, and I was really confused. I mean, really confused. All four of them were still there when we arrived. They seemed to have calmed down a bit, but the tension in the air was almost visible. I felt like I'd stepped into a room of flammable gas. Even the small spark could turn the whole place into a raging inferno. Even Kay, usually so calm and collected, was standing ramrod straight with his hand balled into a fist at his side. I looked at Alice, pursed my lips, and then headed over to the angry knot of people occupying most of the room. Clover told me what's going on. This whole thing is stupid. You need to knock it off.
Stupid? What about this is stupid? We're talking about my life, you self-righteous dick.
Demiurge, you're totally valid in that opinion. That's just me, the player speaking. I know, but yelling at each other isn't going to solve your problem. And the best thing for us to do right now is to trust each other and get through this. Wouldn't you agree?
Hard to trust someone who tried to kill me.
Same to you. I told you letting Dio vote was a stupid idea. What did you think he was gonna do? You might as well have pressed the button yourself.
I couldn't just leave Korg alone.
That's no excuse. And where do you get off telling me I shouldn't have picked Betray?
Did you even think that through? What, I was supposed to pick Ally?
If I'd done that, I'd be dead right now.
I could say the same thing to you. Damn good thing Dio didn't choose Ally.
Please, that's enough from both of you. Sigma's right. This isn't the time to be bickering with each other.
Oh, you don't get to talk. You tried to betray Clover and escape on your own.
Perhaps, but I think that's better than nearly killing someone.
Oh, well, I only did it so that she wouldn't kill Tenmyoji.
Right. God damn it, enough already. I roared with fury and my voice echoed and rebounded off the walls of the warehouse. Everyone fell silent. I didn't know how long that silence would last, so I decided to put it all on the table. There's only one way I was going to be able to take control of the situation. Guys, listen to me. We really don't have time for this. I was met with a number of glares, but I soldiered on. See, the thing is, I figured out who planted the bombs.
What? Is this what you were talking about earlier?
Sort of, yeah. I know which one of you it is.
Well, spit it out then.
Please, explain what's going on here.
I don't think I need to. They're going to admit their guilt in just a few minutes.
What?
You're all going to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Or I guess I should say Dio's mouth.
What are you on? You think I set those bombs?
Yes, I do.
Hey, if you're gonna accuse me, you better have some pretty damn good evidence, pal.
I'm not accusing you. I'm just stating a fact.
Yeah? Where the hell did you get that fact?
Fun as it was, I knew taunting alone wouldn't be enough to make Dio confess. He just played dumb. He was good at it. And I'd get nothing. That meant I was gonna have to trick him. Well, you see, I'm actually from Free the Soul.
Free the Soul? What's that? Some kind of hippie shoe company?
Don't play dumb, Dio. Or should I call you Left? Brother ordered me to come here. To keep an eye on you. It was quick, but for just a moment I saw his eyes twitch. I leapt on that moment of weakness like a hungry dog on a steak. Fine. Skepticism is understandable, admirable even. But perhaps this will convince you. I pressed forward, pulling out every fact I could remember. I told Dio about Brother's background and how his younger brother, Left, had been murdered. I mentioned casually that the Myrmidons are all clones of a single person. So, still not convinced? How about this? 78153610988380942419905551. Do a little prime factor decomposition on that, and you'll get 1984, 198,449,351 to the third power. If I'm not who I say I am, how on earth could I possibly know that?
No, that's not possible.
Finally. So let's start over, shall we? I was sent here to watch over your every move. It seems our wise and noble brother doesn't trust you. He suspects betrayal.
You're lying!
I assure you, I am not. But if you don't believe me, why don't you go outside and call him yourself on with your transmitter?
No. No! You have to be lying! Brother trusts me! That's why he chose me for this mission! Why would he make me the leader of the Myrmidons if he...
Huh? Sorry, what was that?
I said, why would he have made me the leader of the Myrmidons if...
I grinned.
Wait. What the hell? Are you fucking kidding me?
Sorry, Dio. I've never even seen brother.
What the hell was all that? How did you know all those things?
Dunno. Maybe I was divinely inspired.
Give me that shit!
What's going on?
What are these Myrmidon?
Dio and I stared at one another while Clover and Temioji quickly explained to Phi and K about the memory card and the number 2 bomb and about the code we'd found that was from a terrorist organization called the Myrmidons.
So you mean to say someone from the Myrmidons planted the bombs?
And Dio pretty much just admitted to doing it?
Yep.
Bastards. I'll never forgive you.
I heard a low, furious muttering behind me and turned in to see Alice, her lips pulled back into a snarl.
I am going to kill you!
Her voice rose to a scream as she charged toward Dio. He ducked out of the way smoothly and pulled something from his pocket.
Whoa there. I like my women a little feisty. But you're taking it a little too far, sweetheart. Tone it down.
Where are we in the flow of things? Ooh.
What?
You see this?
Oh my god. Is that the detonator?
Exactly. And I assume you know what happens if I press this button?
Yes. I think I do. I'm guessing it'll set off both of the bombs.
Well, I wouldn't say both.
You mean there's still a number 1 bomb we haven't found?
Correct. And there's one more, too.
No. There are 4 bombs?
Exactly.
Thank you for that information. That'll come in handy in other
I
timelines.
planted 4 bombs. They're the ones numbered 1, 2, and 3, but there's also one more.
The 0.
Bomb number 0. Add all that up, and you're looking at about 4 tons of explosive power. Those go off, and it's all over. That's enough oomph to turn this whole place into a smoking crater.
Aren't you forgetting something?
That'd kill you too.
So, I'm ready for that. I've got spares.
Spares? Is that what Sigma was talking about?
Yeah, clones.
I heard Alice whisper something to Clover.
Let's go, Clover. Show him all that training wasn't for nothing.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Right.
Before I had a chance to ask them what was going on, they moved.
Die, you bastard! Yeah!
That's a good vocal scream. I'd like to see the recording of that. Alice threw a punch at Dio's face, and as he dodged, Clover spun out from behind her. Dio grunted and turned to focus on Alice, but Clover darted it in and snatched the detonator from his hand.
Clover, get him!
Right! Sigma!
Before I could respond, Clover had thrown the detonator at me. I scrambled to grab it out of the air and held it to my chest.
Damn it! Stop! Let me go! Still let go of me, you asshole!
Yelling didn't do him any good, and Dio found himself subdued by the skillful teamwork of Alice and Clover. Strangely enough, though one had a hold of him, he stopped struggling. Once they had a hold of him, he stopped struggling. I was reminded of a gazelle with his neck in the mouth of a lion. Had he surrendered? Or did he have some trick up his sleeve? It didn't feel right. I didn't have to wait long for my misgivings to prove true. The detonator in my hand suddenly began to flash. What?
Ha! Serves you right.
What are you laughing at?
You, her, all of you. God, you're stupid.
What? Why?
See that detonator you threw to Sigma? You activated it. If it gets more than a meter away from me, it sets itself off.
Dead man switch.
Figured someone might try to take it away, so we put in a little safeguard. Since you two were kind enough to take it away from me, the bombs have gone from remote control to countdown timer. Go ahead and destroy the detonator if you want. Won't make any difference now. The bombs are gonna go off no matter what.
How long do we have?
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Oh no.
My condolences.
Well, what can we do to stop them?
I told you that already. First, we need the device that allows us to input information.
Excuse me.
Then we plug it into each bomb and enter the codes.
Hey Alice, who the hell are you? How do you know all this?
None of your damn business. Just tell me where the input device is.
Well, that's none of your damn business. Fuck! Stop! You're gonna break it!
Of course. That's the plan.
Please, stop!
Just tell me what I want to know.
Hold on, I gotta take Buster out. I'll be right back. Okay, had to deal with the dogs. Made a little bit of a sandwich. And we'll carry on. Alright. Solace is taking down Dio.
Okay, I'll tell you. It's in my coat, the right-hand pocket.
Clover, check it out.
Right.
She nodded and started digging through his pockets.
It's no use.
After a few
There's
minutes.
nothing here.
Did you lie to me?
No, I swear, keep looking.
Oh, wait. There is something in here.
Clifford pulled her hand from his pocket and held it out. Is that like a pill for medicine?
Hey, what is this?
Huh? I can't see it. Bring it over here.
Holding the pill out toward him. Suddenly he moved in his right hand, snaked out to grab the pill from Clover's hand. Before anyone could react, he shoved it into his mouth. Heard a tiny crack as he bit down on it. Most immediately he grimaced in pain. Cyanide capsule.
Shit!
What? What was that?
Poison, I guess.
What?
Damn! How could I be so stupid?
His eyes rolled up into his head. Flecks of spaghetti began to trickle out from the corners of his mouth. I grabbed him by the hair and shook. What the hell are you doing? Where's the input device?
Lost it. In my couch.
Damn.
Back home.
Don't screw with me.
Fine. Don't tell us. How about you give us the deactivation codes instead?
Deactivation. You guys are persistent.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Not gonna do you much good anyway. I'll tell you. But you only get one. This is the deactivation code for bomb 3.
Go ahead.
Ready? LXQ LHC NMR.
What about the other 3? Tell us the other 3. You didn't even seem to hear me.
My body will be a part of the foundation of a bright future.
His voice was weak and more foam was dribbling out of his mouth.
Such a beautiful world. May brother live in everlasting glory.
Those were the last words Dio spoke. He died with a strange, happy smile. Damn.
He only gave us the password for one of the bombs. This is bad. What are we gonna do?
I don't know.
How much time have we got?
25 minutes.
Are you sure?
Yes. When you told us the time, I checked my bracelet. It said exactly 30 minutes.
You mean the bombs are gonna go off the same time the next set of doors opens?
Yes. The time on your bracelet is the time we have left.
It's 25 minutes.
This isn't good. I was hoping that we might be able to escape through the white doors, but...
It takes 5 minutes for the primary door to open and close. So...
Yes, I know. There's no way we can get through them before the explosion happens.
Well, there's no point just standing around. We should start looking. We need 3 things. The password input device.
And the remaining 2 bombs, right?
Right.
we also need passwords for all the bombs other than number 3.
Exactly.
Maybe Adio has a note or something?
Hold on. Let me check.
She knelt down and quickly checked his pockets and sleeves, and sat back on her heels frustrated.
Damn, he's clean.
She looked pale.
Then we'll just have to hope we find it somewhere. Tenmyoji, can you go tell Luna what's happened?
Right. I'm on it.
Good. The rest of you, let's move out. We can do this. Let's go.
We all took off at a run, heading for 2 different parts of the building. But all of our searching turned up nothing. Where are we in the flow of things? Ooh, yes. And as we searched, the clock kept ticking. Then at last the chromatic doors opened.
Chromatic doors have opened. 5 minutes remain until chromatic doors close.
Our time had run out. We watched the white doors open. Were they doors to heaven? Or to hell? Thought barely had time to flutter through my mind before everything went white. We didn't even have time to say goodbye. 1,000 emotions flooded my brain in those last moments. Why? How? How did we end up this way? And a blistering wave of heat, like the surface of the sun itself, wiped out any lingering thoughts. My consciousness slipped away into a bottomless pool of darkness. Neither heaven nor hell, only the void. Alice End. Best served cold. Alright. We got the Alice ending. Yep. Return. Okay. Alright, next we're going for the Sigma ending, which is over on this column. So go through Cyan, Betray, which will take us over here. And I guess No. And then Ally. That'll take us here. So All right, we're gonna stop the stream, so that makes a good clean division between the end of Alice's path and beginning of Sigma's path. So I'm gonna stop the recording here, and then I'll restart it. All right, bye.